Welcome back to the Energy Tips for week 18 till May 3rd, 2019. Welcome back after these last 2 weeks of deconstructing. We are now entering the phase of reconstructing. All right, I promised to keep it simple. So let's go through the collective energies for next week here real quick. I've mentioned that we're going to continue having to deal with these karmic patterns, but you guys are already working on this. So don't expect too many new things to come forward, really. It's not about finding out. It's about living with it. It's about accepting it. It's about being okay with it. Not like as in sucking it up, but as in recognizing that part and accepting that this will always be there, and that your job is to find the way through that, or if you will, to sidestep that. Okay, so don't be afraid of this. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of fear here right now in the collective. You probably feel this already. Our expression is repressed, okay, and it feels very unjust. It's like we have to suck up a lot of stuff right now. And I don't want you to absorb that. I want you to be a witnesser of that and say, okay, yes, I'm sucking up stuff. I'm going to have to deal with that. Okay, but I don't want you to go into this place of I'm screwed either way. And I have no choices, because that is the ego illusion in this. You do have a choice. And I'll say this over and over again, even if you just have to take my say-so. You are determining how you see your experiences. There's, of course, an objective part to your experiences, but how they energetically work within you, how they affect you physically, emotionally, mentally, in your relationships, in your work, spiritually, and as a whole, that's in your hands. Okay? So be careful here this next week. If you get pulled into your shit magnets, trigger all your addictions again, all your ego addictions and actual substance addictions. Also, escapism is a big one. So when I say sleep, I mean sleep to recover, not to run away. When I say there's not the time for confrontation, I don't mean to suck it up and shut your mouth when your integrity or your boundaries are being violated. No, but I don't mean to go into a fight either, because you can't win. That is a fight you can't win. It's the fight of egos. Okay, that's what duality ultimately does to all of us. So we get caught in this stupid fight. That's why I always say, pick your battles wisely. Okay, go within, know exactly who you are, what you truly want, what your values are. If somebody violates them, if somebody compromises them, then go say, I see what you're saying. It's an interesting point of view. I have never really looked at it this way, but I don't agree with it. It feels differently from my perspective, or, I come to different conclusions with, what it is, the subject. Okay, so you don't have to agree. Your fear of confrontation, especially the codependence amongst you, is because you're afraid of either being right or being wrong. And yes, people can be afraid of being right, because it comes with this absoluteness, but it's not absolute. There is no right and wrong, guys. That's, this duality illusion, all right? There's only I know who I am, I know what I came here for, and I'm trying my best. All there is the promise that you've made to your true self and to the divine to become the best you can be, okay? And this is a continual adaptation, a continual correction process, this evolution, okay? So get out of your own way. Stop trying to find the solutions in your head. You're not going to find it there. You're going to have to use your heart for that, and that needs to be practiced, that needs to be trained. Okay, so these incoming May energies and the energies for next week will affect our energy centers here in our 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 6th and 7th. So it's going to all be in your head, okay? And that's why you have to get out of your head. Okay, now it's going to be triggered from like way below, from the core of your karmic unresolved trauma load. Okay, And it's going to trigger your third chakra, your ego, as in like resisting, kicking and screaming. And those of you with performance issues, you're going to go into like, oh my God, I'm so bad. And you're going to doubt yourself, and you're going to beat yourself up for your judgment. And then you're going to beat yourself up for your... It's exhausting. Just let it go. Okay. Not taking yourself seriously obviously isn't or doesn't sound like a very sophisticated solution, but it can help. It can help to say, dang, I waste a lot of energy in all this shit. Why don't you just, slow down, focus on my body, focus on what's good for me, work with water and earth this week. Collectively, you're going to see a lot of this blowing smoke and confusion. So politically, don't expect any solutions, especially if you live in the United States. Okay, this isn't going to come. This isn't the time for it. This is the time of repressed expression, meaning irreconcilable differences. It's the time where people realize that the marriage that they're in or the job that they're in isn't the right one for them. And you can't, destroy your partner, destroy the company that you work for to make it right. That's dumb. You gotta come to your own conclusions and walk out. I mean, you don't have to make it right. You don't have to vilify the other. You just walk out. Now, obviously, with some of the greater issues in the world, environment and terrorism and resources and climate change and financial markets, we can't just walk out. But I want you to see through all of that. Be okay with things not working out right away. I mean, people say to me, oh, you always talk about collective awakening and all the conscious level of humans rising, and how come I'm not seeing this happening yet? Well, who are you? Like your lifetime, 80 years, 90 years, isn't really big enough to determine this. You're not, your ego wants it to happen in a certain timeline, but time has its own dynamics. So all you can do is to slow down time, as I explained it in the energy update, to be more aware, to be more conscious, to stay in the present moment, and then you'll see that you have a lot of different perspectives and you see things change. It's kind of like when you put your camera on slow motion, you start seeing things for the first time. So that's kind of like how this goes. So I didn't mean this in a degrading way. It's just our ego that wants it to happen in a certain timeline. But the majority of people isn't ready yet. So even though this incompatibility that I talked about last week is slowly moving towards 1 out of 10 people to 2 out of 10 people around you that will understand you, that will be compatible with you energetically. It's still going to take a while till this leads to societal changes. So stay tuned. You're here for a reason, and you picked this time to incarnate for a reason. You wanted to be part of this transition and learn how to do this within yourself. Okay? So be prepared for another week of I don't know what else to call it. Physically, guys, headaches going to be probably the biggest issue here for you. So I've already mentioned this in the energy updates. Go into energy preservation. Go what is good for your energy. Go into recovery. Slow down. I am breathing. It's wonderful for this practice. Meditate. You're too tired now to do anything. Okay? Be soft with yourself. Align to water, align to steam baths, mud treatments, reflexology, everything or anything that can help you to feel more in the moment, to feel more grounded, to feel more able to face reality, if you will. Emotionally, I've already mentioned this, fear, anxiety is something that you may want to not take too seriously. Okay, you're going to have to let this go, whatever works. Music, movies, meeting other people, taking a walk in nature, whatever it is that you can do to shift your energy. You've got to prioritize your own recovery, or else you're going to get pulled into your shit magnets. Okay? Set smaller goals. Up your dopamine levels by setting smaller, accomplishable goals. So depending on where you're at, look at the next best thing that you can do to trampoline your way up. Okay? The next thing, not the big thing, the next thing. Okay? That's a very important discipline when we feel that our energy is going low. Okay? And, it's really important that you recognize this, that you recognize that you get caught in this abyss of trying to find the perfect solution. Okay? You're going to have to let go of that. There just isn't one. And you're just going to have to call a shot. And I can promise you that either way it's going to be better than getting stuck in this place of indecision. Okay? So if you're slightly codependent, pay particular attention, and maybe even if it doesn't come out gracefully, tell people, hey, this doesn't work for me. You don't have to over-explain. You don't have to justify. Just say, I can't really offer a solution, but it just doesn't work for me. Mentally, yes, it's being in your head too much. You got to get a handle on that. Nothing makes sense. You're screwed either way, and it's a trap. Okay, so just let go of trying to figure it out. Feel it out instead, right? And this will then also help you to go a little deeper, because most of you actually get stuck in the superficiality of things. Go deeper. Allow yourself to go deeper. Why aren't you going there? Because you're afraid to see your own stuff. Oh, well. So my tip for you is then, go full frontal with your own stuff and accept the stuff, but without beating yourself up. See your own deeper truth. What is my true intention here? What is my true desire? What is my true bias in life? If I grew up in poverty, I'm going to, for the rest of my life, try to prove to myself that I can provide for myself, that I can have or make money, that I can, that I never have to experience this again. This is where your childhood trauma comes in as a roadmap, guys. Because it shows you what your core drive is, even if it's based on pain and trauma. Okay, so this is just a hint for you here. Socially, accept that we all have a different timeline, we all have a different pacing on our journey, we all have different views, and that's okay. You don't have to vilify the other, you don't have to convince others. Just be okay to disagree. And many of you, I've noticed, have this anxiety, this fear to be concrete, to speak out loud what it actually is that they want. Especially as empaths and energetically sensitives with codependent tendencies. You always choose this sneaky way, this from behind or underneath, sort of coverted control, coverted manipulation. That's no good for you, because that makes you absorb all the stuff from others. I explained this last week and the week before that. Just take all these dynamics out by stating clearly what it is that you want, that you expect, that, whether you think it's the right thing or not is irrelevant. Then the other will say to you, well, that doesn't work for me. And then you're going to have to negotiate. So that's the whole point of being more concrete. And with your plans for the future, the same thing. So many of you are afraid of formulating what it is that you actually want, because you're afraid that it sounds like a fantasy, or because you're afraid that you won't accomplish it, or whatever it is. You tone it down. You opt for the safe way. Go mediocre. Okay, but that's what keeps you in your karmic wheel, guys. So you're going to have to really look into your heart, into your passion, to understand what's underneath your goals. And sometimes you have to correct your goals. I've had to do this many times in my life. Where I thought this was it, and it really wasn't. Okay. Those of you who have issues in relationships right now, guys, don't punish the other with withholding love. Every time you find yourself withholding your own love, going into silent treatment or poutiness or whatever, you're cutting yourself off from your own self-love. Okay, you can't just cut the other off. That's not how this works. If you put a wall up there on your fourth chakra, on your heart chakra, that wall is also blocking you from connecting within. So if this energy tip gets you fast enough, come to the True Self session tonight, where you can work on the deeper stuff there, these walls, and how to overcome them, how to communicate with your true self, because it can tell you what you need to do to let go of that. Spiritually, it's the time of inner reconciliation. You hard warriors are going to be in the Grace Gaia Sophia Marathon next week. All I can say is wow, buckle up. It's wonderful, intense, and really deeply moving. For many people in these past 10 years, the Grace Gaia Sophia modality, transmission modality, has been a life changer. It helps you to spiritually reconcile within, and that is where most of us are karmically bound to things that we've brought in as karmic debt. So you'll feel, if you can, go there, you'll feel a liberation that you've never felt before. Accept the evolutionary cycle of all of that. Okay, it's a constant correction. And be brave to have your own experience, your own first-hand experience with spirituality, with divinity within. And last but not least, energetically, guys, time, perception is relative. And I can tell you that the lower your energy is, the faster time perception will go. It's not scientific, but it's subjective. Okay, so you're going to have to really work on your time management and energy management skills. And for that, I recommend you to go into meditation. You know this, we've created a whole entire course here around this, with daily meditations, with workshops, with community, and all, the Sacred Self-Healing. The Sacred Self-Healing course is probably the most effective way of learning how to tune into your deeper essence, into your own consciousness, without feeling judged or anything, because it's self-paced. But then the combination with group work and so forth allows you to see how other people deal with it and to learn from another. It's very synergetic. It's really good. So work on your relationship with your inner higher power. That's my tip for you. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this was simple enough. I see you next week. Bye-bye.